hey there, welcome to Hiker Homily. I think we're up to number 42. Might be 43. The beginning will have the actual number. I'm going to go with 42 for now, and if I'm totally wrong, hey, you can have a laugh out of that, because I don't always know. I don't know. Hey, Hiker Homily, as far as I know, number 42 for the week of November 12th, 2018. And in this Hiker Homily, a kind of periphery topic to hiking, because it does affect hiking. Sometimes hikers are the cause of things like that, and I'm going to talk this time today about wildfires. And one of the main reasons I'm talking about wildfires is because not only are there several going right now out here in California, the state I live in, one of them is I don't know the exact distance, but it's about 150 miles away. And even so, because of this, you can see how big that fire is and the smoke that's moving. Well, that smoke is moving towards us here in the Central Valley. It's coming out of the foothills. The wind is pushing it here. And the city of Sacramento and the city I live in, Stockton, California, just south of Sacramento, has been for a week now covered in a thick, smoky haze. This is what the mid-afternoon looks like right here. That picture was taken mid-afternoon. You can see the sun is kind of, and there's no effects added there. The sun is just dimmed out like that. It's even though it's supposed to be a nice clear autumn day, it looks like an overcast day. And then on top of that, if it was just overcast day, that's not a big deal, right? We can all handle some overcastness and stuff, but unfortunately, because that's not clouds, that's smoke, that comes with all kinds of breathing issues and all kinds of things like that. So, just showing you that the devastation that a wildfire brings is horrendous, and the people that are actually directly affected by the wildfire, their lives can be turned completely upside down. But then a wildfire, that's why I started with the smoky haze thing, can affect people hundreds of miles away from it, depending on how big it is and the prevailing winds and then the climate. We're sitting in the Central Valley here. It's kind of like a big bowl. That smoke comes down here. There's nowhere for it to go easily, so it starts stacking up and it just sits here, and it's been like that for a week. So even if you're not near the wildfire, it can adversely affect you and your quality of life. If you have all that smoke building up, we're walking around outside wearing, well, the smart ones of us are outside walking around wearing face masks. Sporting events are being canceled. All kinds of things are being adjusted and changed or completely canceled because of just the smoky haze, let alone dealing with the fact that a wildfire destroys things. This particular fire that they have nicknamed the Camp Fire, let me let you know, for those of you who haven't been following it, here's a little uptake on it. It has burned over 100,000 acres so far, well over 100,000 acres. Over 6,000, more than 6,000 homes and businesses have been destroyed in this fire. And so far, 56 fatalities. 56 people lost their lives due to this fire, with hundreds still considered missing, and therefore the fatality number is expected to climb, probably to horrendous levels. It's one of the most deadly wildfires in the history of California. And it has pretty much, from what I understand and from the footage I've seen, and I'll show some of that here, destroyed the town of Paradise, California. The entire town. And this was a town of 27,000 people or more living in it. And pretty much the entire town has been wiped off the map by this fire. It just swept through something like within 24 or 48 hours of it starting, it swept through that town and just wiped everything out. I think out of the entire little town, and it was, like I said, 27,000 residents kind of spread around out there. We're not talking about a one-street village. It was, a pretty decent-sized town, completely wiped out. I think there's like 3 buildings left standing. So the campfire and things. They're still investigating how it started. One of the main possible culprits is a downed power line. But here in California, due to drought conditions and all kinds of other types of weather conditions, we have been ripe for things like that, and that's why there are multiple fires. Right now, I'm talking about the campfire for the most part because that's the one that's closest to me and most directly affects me, my family, and people that I know that live in this area. But there's also a large fire burning in the coastal area of Santa Cruz. There's also a huge fire destroying property and things like that down in Ventura, California, in Southern California, and there are some other fires burning around the state that haven't quite gotten the news because they're just not as big as these big three that we've been talking about and things like that. So on the subject of wildfires, as far as hiking goes, I can't tell you the number of times I have gone camping or hiking and seen people absolutely not know how to control their fire. For one thing, a lot of people, if you don't know it, getting a California fire permit is pretty easy. And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, whatever, I got to go through this whole thing every year to get a fire permit. And it's very easy. It's like a 5-6 minute video you watch with very basic information on how to safely build a fire, safely forage for a fire, how to maintain a fire and keep it under control, and how to douse one so that it doesn't reignite and cause a problem when you leave the area and things like that. And that's one of the most important things right there. So easy to do, 5-6 minute video, you get your permit and stuff like that. But I have seen people who and I got to tell you, people who I know even have California fire permits, and they get out there in the woods and they turn into idiots, and they just do dumb things with fire and stuff like that. Just because you have a California fire permit, by the way, doesn't mean you can just set fires. Certain areas have regulations going. For example, last summer when we went up to the Bear Lake area in the immigrant wilderness up here in the foothills in the lower western Sierras and things like that. You know, we had our California fire permit, but we were told by the ranger staff, no fires, no fire pits. We could use our camp stoves in open areas, but other than that, no fires. Okay? So people not following those basic rules, because again, it's that attitude that some of us in the community have. Some hikers in the community really have this attitude of, that's just the government telling me what to do, and I don't got to listen to the government because I'm a free person. You know, most of the time, when it comes to stuff like this and most of the hiking stuff, it's not the government just deciding, I don't like you, so I'm going to put this rule here just to cheese you off. No, it's the government making this rule because they know that not following this rule is going to hurt something. It's going to damage something. It's going to screw something up. Everything, and I'm going to do a whole thing on things like trail permits, my feelings on certain trail rules and things like that. There's reasons for most of these rules. It's not just an arbitrary let's F with the populace type of thing. Oh, just the government, bureaucracy making us do blah, blah, blah. There's no way I'll ever start a fire because blah, blah, blah. It's just ridiculous because, it's not up to you. You can be the safest person in the world, follow every single step that it takes to make a fire safe. But if just one ember gets out of your control and hits the right place in that forest, which is right now, like I said, with drought conditions and things dry and ready to go, there is no way you're going to stop a fire that starts because it's going to move so fast, your head will spin before you burn to death. So that's just the thing is we're our own worst enemy when it comes to stuff like this half the time. We just totally get stupid about things. And it won't happen to me. Won't happen to me. I'm just that good, and things like that. That kind of attitude is the last famous words before we've got a 100,000 acre fire destroying towns and killing people. Stuff like, because I've seen it. You've got these cocky people I've seen in campgrounds. Oh yeah, this and that, I'll take care of that, and blah, blah, blah. And then they end up falling asleep. They go back to their tent for a little while to do something, and they fall asleep, and then leave their freaking campfire smoldering, and embers blowing, and things like that. It's, I've seen it. I've seen backpackers do the same thing. Yeah, we're not supposed to build a fire here, but damn, I'm a little chilly tonight, and it just cheers me up to have a fire, so I'm going to make one. And so in this pristine wilderness area, they start digging rocks out of the ground to make a fire pit, and pulling stuff, and they start their own fire. And, this is a place that's a wilderness. It hasn't been cleared out. The brush is thick. It's dry. One little spark and you've started a forest fire because you decided you were too good for the rules and all that kind of stuff. So that's my rant on that. But the one thing I do want to touch on before I go is there are ways if you are inclined to help. Because like I said, 6,000 or more businesses and mostly homes destroyed in just the Camp Fire. We're not talking about what's been destroyed in Santa Cruz, what's been destroyed in Malibu, and some of the other many fires going to the state. Just this one fire, over 6,000 homes and people's livelihood and things like that completely destroyed and stuff. And there are ways, if you are inclined, that you can help. And one of those ways is to contact the American Red Cross or Habitat for Humanity in that local area. That's the Chico area, Colfax, those little areas around there. They've all got relief efforts going. There are many shelters put up there to help these people. And the other thing is donating the right kinds of thing. And according to them, the kind of stuff that they are looking for is, number one, cash donations and gift cards, because that is absolutely the most flexible. It's not a game. They're not trying to rip you off and, how do I know they spend the money on this? Okay, most of these organizations in the local branches have been vetted. They're doing the right thing. They're helping the people. And cash donations give them, or gift cards for certain things like, I had it written down over here, supermarkets, gas stations, pharmacies, things like that. They can get that to the people who absolutely need it and can use it the best, and gives them flexibility. If you donate an old pair of shoes and stuff, that's great, but that's only going to work for maybe this one person who might specifically need a pair of shoes and happens to be that particular size. There's just not the flexibility there, where if I can give them a gift card to Walmart, they can buy shoes that are in their size, plus a few other things for the kids that they need, and like a gift card to a pharmacy, they have meds they need that were destroyed in the house, they can get that back, all that kind of thing. So gift cards and stuff. Some of the actual items, if you don't want to, for whatever reason, give gift cards or cash to these organizations, some of the items that a lot of the shelters can indeed use are things like toiletries, diapers, underwear, specifically women's underwear and things like that, because a lot of the stuff doesn't get put in the old go bag for the people who do have a go bag and things like that. I'm getting this from offline, so just stuff like that. They do need things like that, deodorants, soaps, basic things like toothbrushes and toothpaste and things like that, to help get people going with just the very basic minimum supplies and stuff. So if you are inclined, it is not hard to get online and look up different places. If you don't want to go to a big organization like the American Red Cross, they have a local chapter up there that will take care of it. But if you don't want to do that, or you don't want to go to Habitat for Humanity for whatever reason, you can look up. There are all kinds of local charities all over the area that are taking donations, and will be getting them to the right people who need it in this local in this local area. And I hope you are inclined to help out, because there's a lot of people that have literally lost everything in this fire. I talk about how when I walk out my door, I've got this haze and I have to wear a mask. That is absolutely nothing compared to what some of these folks are absolutely going through, losing everything. So, fires, please be careful out there when you're hiking. If you're out there backpacking and you're in an area that says no fires, don't do it. Just let it go. You're supposed to have the right equipment to layer yourself to stay warm. In a survival situation, I understand that. That's a totally different situation. But just generally, backpacking or hiking, when you are allowed to have a fire, do it right. Be careful. It doesn't have to be a bonfire. And when you're not allowed to have a fire, then don't have a fire. Because usually when they put those restrictions on, there's a reason for it. It's not just being mean to you. Get over yourself. The rule is there to keep people safe so that towns like Paradise don't burn down and people don't lose their lives and their homes. All right? Thanks a lot, you guys. That is Hiker Homily for this week. As always, thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions or any of that kind of thing, as usual, you can get a hold of me in the comments below, or on Instagram or Facebook at Hiking for Health CA, or you can get a hold of me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.gov. Thanks a lot, and I hope everyone's going to be safe out there. And also, final thanks to the amazing firefighters and first responders, search and rescue folks, police officers, and all those people who are sent up there to do their jobs and to fight this thing. Be safe. You guys are absolutely amazing. You are definition of a hero. It's absolutely incredible what they do. They put their lives on the line fighting stuff like this to help other people. And some of them are actually fighting for their area, their local firemen who are fighting a blaze that is destroying, their community and things like that. So my heart goes out to them. My thanks and gratitude goes out to them, and my respects deeply go out to them. That's about it, everybody. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next week.